Hello and welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. Today we have the Hazelburn 10-year-old on the cask. Hazelburn is a brand of the Springbank distillery. The Springbank distillery is one of the old Campbelltown distilleries. They have 3 different brands. They have the Longrow, heavily peated. Then they have the Springbank, lightly peated. The Longrow is double distilled. Springbank is 2.5 times distilled, so some of it triple distilled, some of it not triple distilled, double distilled. And then we have the Hazelburn, not peaty, and triple distilled. If you'd like to know more about the Springbank distillery, there's a video on our YouTube channel about the whole distillery, and I'll explain to you all the 2.5 distilling and all that kind of stuff in very much detail. I think I had the Hazelburn 14 years old a few months or a few weeks here on the cask, and the Hazelburn 14 was a really good whiskey. And let's have a look if the 10-year-old can cope up, hold on to the success of the 14-year-old. It's supposed to be a really light and mild whiskey due to the triple distillation. Let's have a look. 10 years of age, triple distilled single malt Scotch whiskey, Mitchell Cole Limited, Springbank Distillery, Campbelltown, 46% ABV. And that's always a kind of a reminder. 46% ABV always cries non-chill filtered. And I don't know if it's on here anywhere, but Springbank does not chill filter and do not add caramel coloring. And when I was at the distillery, they even told me that they don't even do chill filtering. They don't even consider it because they don't think it adds to their value, and also it would, I don't know, what did they say? Don't fit into the production process because it's more of a production step and costs and doesn't add to the value. So they don't do it at all. The beauty about Springbank is that they are 100% doing their malt on their own. So all the malt that has been produced at Springbank comes from their malting floors, which is a bit of a downer because it limits the output of Springbank quite a lot. So the Springbank, Hazelburn, and Longrow are pretty rare bottles, but it's traditional, so it's really nice to have a really old traditional malting floor malted whiskey. Wow. I think it was exclusively matured in ex-bourbon casks, and that is, it gives a really mild aroma. So the aromas that I'm picking up are really delicate. So it's a bit flowery, bit honey, bit sweet. So you do realize it's an ex-bourbon cask. And it's a bit of it's not the normal typical fresh citrus note. It's more of a pear note. So it's more round, not as fresh. So it's a very ripe pear. There's a bit of that's strange, there's a bit of a peat smoke going on. It's as in the smell, as in the aroma. The taste is very delicate, but a bit more intense than I expected. You do realize you have a 46% ABV whiskey in there. So it's a slight vanilla, a good amount of honey, light sweetness, lovely, bit of a flowery note in there. Very light on the wood. So there's a bit of an American oak note in there. So you have a slight oak note, but not too intense. No bitterness at all. Just that nudge of oak note in there. So this, I would describe it as the the typical mild ex-bourbon cask matured single malt whiskey. Bit too mild for the typical, bit milder than typical. Although it's so limited in supply, the bottle is around $40, maybe in America a bit more, but it's around 40, 45. So it's not as expensive I would have expected from Springbank, because I think they have an output of 100 to 200,000 liters of pure alcohol, and with such a well-known brand within the whiskey community, would have expected the demand to be higher, supply low, so the prices rise. But it's a good whiskey, nice whiskey that is triple distilled, and apparently not that expensive. So it's not as complex as the 14-year-old. So I would say it's a good whiskey. If it comes up within the Whisky.com awards, not quite sure yet. Depends on what we find on other whiskies during this month. But it may be a contender. So keep being subscribed. Maybe we find back in this month Whisky.com awards, but I'm not promising anything. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.